The Regulatory Standards Bill, a beginner's guide. On one side, David Seymour's supporters say it's about better lawmaking and transparency. On the other, critics are calling it the Treaty Principles Bill 2.0 and warn it could gut treaty protections. So what is the Regulatory Standards Bill and what is it trying to do? Let's break it down. The idea is to set some rules for good lawmaking, basically a kind of checklist. When a government decides it wants to make a new law, it would have to consider the set of principles laid out in this bill. The principles themselves are a little complex, but they cover things like upholding the rule of law, maintaining personal rights to property ownership, and freedom of choice. Who checks if a law is good? Under the bill, a Regulatory Standards Board would be created. It wouldn't be a court, but the board would consider how new and old legislation measures up to the principles and would respond to concerns raised around the consistency of regulation. Much like the Waitangi Tribunal, the board would be able to make non-binding recommendations. Where did this come from? The bill is part of the 2023 coalition agreement between National and ACT. But it's not brand new. Similar legislation has been introduced 3 times before. In 2006 by ACT Party leader Rodney Hyde, in 2011 again by Hyde, and in 2021 by David Seymour. But all of them previously failed to gain enough support to become law. The new version is a bit different. It removes courts from enforcing the principles and adds that independent board instead. Why is it controversial? Well, people don't agree on what good lawmaking looks like. Some people think the proposed rules are just the ACT Party's ideological view, which doesn't include Te Tiriti o Waitangi as a guiding legal principle. Critics say this law could have impacts on everything from public health to environmental protections. Another key sticking point in the bill is the principle every person is equal before the law. That almost identical phrase was featured in the now dead Treaty Principles Bill. Whilst seemingly neutral, some people worry the clause could be used to dismantle existing laws designed to address historic inequities. David Seymour says these kind of fears are fueled by misinformation spread on social media. He said it's about better transparency in lawmaking and that all New Zealanders will benefit. What happens next? The bill passed its first reading in Parliament on the 23rd of May. Right now, it's before the Finance and Expenditure Select Committee. The committee will report back by the 22nd of November, then a second reading, a debate by the full House, and a third reading and final vote. If more than half of MPs say yes, it becomes law, likely taking effect from the 1st of January 2026. So, is this bill about better lawmaking, or is it a Trojan horse for something else? That depends on who you ask, but one thing's clear. After nearly 2 decades of false starts, this version of the Regulatory Standards Bill is the closest it's ever been to actually becoming law.